Hello, and welcome to Lesbian Talk episode 95.
Motherfuckers. We're still gonna have to figure out something amazing to do for episode 100.
We never do anything amazing.
We will. It will be amazing. Shut up. We're amazing.
Yes.
How are you, Internet?
Yes.
How you guys doing? How was your week?
Or 2 weeks or 3 weeks, depending on
No,
when this
a
goes
week,
up.
because it's gonna go
Or
up on Tuesday.
your infinity.
Shut up. No. No, because now that we have Doctor Who to hold us to schedule. Thank you, Doctor, for saving us. You saved our podcast.
Yes, but unlike 2 weeks ago, this is not an all Doctor Who, all episode of Lesbian Talk. This one, though, is an aquatic-themed one.
It is! Did you think of that in advance, or did it just happen randomly?
No, I just randomly worked it out.
Oh, okay.
Aquatic-themed!
Aquatic-themed. I can't make it sound as good when I say that.
Basically, the first half of this, we're going to talk about a movie we watched last night, which it's the sort of thing that we could have done as a backseat critique, but...
Basically, let me tell you how this was sold to me. Okay, so you're coming over tonight? Yeah. Okay, so, because you were staying over at your parents-in-law's house, because they were away visiting with the Nibblings and the brother-in-law and sister-in-law. But yeah, so I was like, yeah, I'm coming over to your parents' house. Okay, so we're going to get takeaway, right? Yeah, we can totally get pizza, we'll get from your favorite place. Oh, great. So, we need something to watch, right? Yeah, I sure we can watch something while we eat. I found the best movie. Literally.
Well, I didn't say I found the best movie. I said I found a terrible-looking movie called Octopus, and because Omega has a thing for octopi...
They're cool. I want one for a pet. You can teach it to do tricks.
So I figured, her love of octopuses, my love of terrible films. What can go wrong?
It was... See, the thing is that, it was just bad in, the not good ways.
Yeah, it was really irritating. You have this really fat, incompetent FBI agent who dies through being competent. You have a really terrible... It was pre-9/11, so the most feared terrorist in the world is this Eastern European guy who looks like a cross between Udo Kier and Simon Pegg.
He did, really.
And they decide to bring this terrorist who's bombed a fuckload of things while dressed like Mrs. Doubtfire. They decide to take him back to America
From Bulgaria.
Yeah, via a nuclear submarine. Unfortunately, there's a giant fucking nuclear octopus partway through the Atlantic.
Which was the Russians' fault, by the way.
Which somehow hasn't been destroying ships,
Or eating all the fish ever.
Yeah. It goes after and cripples this sub. It destroys it completely. And then it destroys a cruise ship, and yet somehow this thing never affected anyone beforehand.
Yeah, they're like, oh, it's desperate for protein, but yet it has not been eating whales.
Or giant squid.
Yeah. This happened, it was so stupid and literally, they had us. They had us at Octopus. They had us at the trailer, which was a giant fucking octopus with, rows of, vagina teeth instead of, a beak like an octopus has.
And then they also...
We're like, oh, yeah, we're already on board. You already got us.
And from the trailer, the special effects look charmingly crap.
Yeah, so we're like, oh, yeah, we're already on board for...
Crap model work and crap CGI mixed together crappily. And even the cover of the DVD was a shot from a different film of a ship being dragged under with an octopus grabbing it. But there was about 10 different octopuses in this shot. What they had done is very, very, very quickly and roughly photoshopped these 10 things to make it look like it was attacking. It was really, really so obvious.
So you already had your target audience for a giant monster flick.
Yeah.
But then they had to go, how many desperate plot elements can we cram in here to make this even more interesting?
And they had so much fucking stupid shit, which is to be expected, but sometimes it's stupidity. The type of stupidity they've got is just incongruous with the expected stupidity.
Aye. I
mean, near the end, I worked out what it was. The film. It's basically how do I put it? The developmentally subnormal cousin of Deep Rising.
Deep Rising? Which I've never seen.
Deep Rising's fucking awesome. It's stupid as fuck, but it's awesome.
But here's the thing. Yeah, so it was just, we're like, okay, so America has military bases all over Europe.
Yeah.
And we know that this is true because, it just recently come out in the past few years that basically we've been using them to traffic people who we might not ought to have in custody secretly across Europe so we can bring them home and torture them or torture them right there in Europe. They're in Bulgaria, oh, we have to get him back to America as quickly and as secretly as possible. Motherfucker, there's bases in the UK. They won't even look twice.
And they even mention, I don't know why this didn't happen, but in the film they even mentioned that there was an idea of taking the terrorist but to America via plane from Stuttgart, a base in Stuttgart, which German air bases is where a lot of this sort of diplomatic and related flights from American air bases goes to. A lot of the bodies of people of American soldiers killed in Europe and near Europe, they end up in Germany and then they fly back.
Yeah, and also the thing is that like if he's been responsible for bombings at embassies all over Europe, wouldn't he need to be tried in the EU? The America, okay, legally, America can't just extradite somebody to take them back home to torture.
Or maybe it's American embassies all over the.
Yeah, but other people will have died.
Yeah,
there will have been collateral damage. Also, though, that was crime and property damage that happened in the EU. So
Bulgaria is not in the EU, or at least it wasn't.
Yeah, but they said all over for the last 2 years. He's bombed 10 other places.
Yeah, but here's the thing: America diplomatically is a bully.
That's true.
So they would have taken it back and said, "We don't care about all your people who died. Fuck you."
Yeah, but still, like it would have made the news. Like I'm just saying.
There's a reason Finland didn't go off to try and get Osama bin Laden, and they let America go. Because even if Finland could have got him, Finland's like, America would just get him anyway.
Finland's nice. Like, we could move there. They like EU people and their spouses. We could go to Norway, too. They have the same thing. They're like, EU person? No, we're not in the EU, but you can come in with your spouse. Are you going to learn Norwegian? Yes. We have government-sponsored classes every week. You want to learn Norwegian? Yeah. Yeah, we'll learn Norwegian. Oh, great! Where's your passport? Let me stamp it. No, seriously, that's not an exaggeration. We might go to Norway. Norway or the Republic or Portugal or Spain, because the UK is like, fuck you, non-EU migrant. You're a dirty migrant. You come from a village of mud huts, don't you? I come from the suburbs. Yeah, migrant. I'm American. She's making the best face. You can't see it because it's audio. Sorry, I'm a little bit bitter. But anyway, Octopus.
Yeah, this one, you have... Okay, tell us the tale of this blonde woman's accent.
So, like, the first time you meet the sub's crew... They're drunk, playing strip poker. And there was this woman, and we commented on, oh, wait a minute. Well, actually, you said, because this is not something that I knew. Wait a second. Aren't, co-ed crews really rare, like, even now? Don't they, tend not to do that?
On submarines.
On submarines. And I was like, I don't know, maybe,
actually,
she's
check this out.
I talk, you Google it.
Yes.
And so I was like, well, as we know from the fine documentary film Down Periscope. No, I'm just kidding. But I was like, I don't know, maybe she's like the Starbuck of the crew, like a la New BSG. And so then she has this accent, and it sounds like it sounds maybe Swedish, maybe vaguely Eastern European.
No, it sounds like an American trying to be Swedish.
Yeah, like something Nordic, definitely something Nordic. So I was like, well, is she Norwegian? It sounds like she's speaking her English phonetically.
The first female enlisted soldiers to serve aboard the submarine USS Michigan is in 2016.
That hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, they will. The first ones are selected.
Well, then how come in movies occasionally you see females on submarines?
Because they don't want to be accused of being sexist.
Has a female never been on a submarine?
Well, occasionally they would be on, but they wouldn't be in the crew.
Okay.
But this woman wasn't actually in the crew, so this was a moot point.
Yeah, they're like, oh, so things enough. She's like, oh, I'm from the University of something, and I'm studying whales or some shit.
Yeah, they have... This woman, she's the only woman on board, and she immediately instigates a game of strip poker, and then...
Well, we don't know that.
And then...
We don't know that.
Someone did, and she took part, and then you had her and this guy who were involved were both basically, if they wasn't reciprocated, they would be sexually harassing each other.
Yeah, so basically, like, he's in his boxers, she's in her panties, one of them, like, army undershirts, and her bra. And, like, it looks like he won the hand. He's like, yeah, take off the bra. Oh, we're gonna see some titties now. And, he's black, by the way.
And he was in
his
he played the rapping ringmaster in Greatest Show in the Galaxy in Sylvester McCoy era.
And basically, yeah, this guy, he's just a walking, talking stereotype, and I feel bad that he was typecast in this way. But she's like, aha, royal flush, read him and weep, take them off. And she's like, no, stop it, no. And she's like literally trying to pull down his boxers. She's like, I want to see it, let's see. And so we're like, wow, we were ready to like sympathize. We're like, oh no, all male crew, and she's about to be sexually harassed. Oh wait, she's about to sexually harass him. Everybody gonna get sexually harassed tonight.
Yeah.
And then the captain comes and he's like, oh, things and stuff. The captain looked like a bargain basement Nathan Fillion, by the way.
Yeah, and he was angry and or incompetent, depending on how the film was going.
They tried to set it up like he was the maverick that brought down a sub full of Iraqis. Was it a sub or was it a ship?
He brought down something.
He brought down something full of Iraqis
Back,
during the Gulf War.
back in during the Iraq War, and it was
Yeah.
like, oh, this is 2000. You guys don't know what's going on later on.
Pretty much, it's kind of cringy. And he's like, yeah, but I beached a Navy submarine.
That's
to do
like
something like that.
the odd. Sometimes films will, before 9/11 would mention the World Trade Center bombing.
Mm-hmm. I mean the first one in the
Yeah,
90s.
and it's like,
You're like,
oh.
But yeah, so that's happening, and he's like, and the guy's like, I'm the CIA, except I'm really bad at it.
He is really
He's
shit.
the worst CIA agent.
This guy,
ever, I'm
he's
just
in his
saying.
mid-20s, and he is classically handsome, but in every other way,
He's
his fat,
such a cockmaster.
50-year-old idiot friend was a far better FBI agent.
Because he won't shoot at the terrorist. He could kill the terrorist with a single bullet, but he won't shoot. I'm like, motherfucker, how did you get into the CIA in the first place?
Yeah.
You wouldn't even be able, I mean, like, for Christ's
This
sake,
happened
like,
several times.
for Christ's sake, okay, in X-Files, Mulder and Scully will have that moment of, should I shoot? Should I not shoot? But they always shoot, you know? And Scully usually always shoots.
Yeah.
And Mulder usually always shoots. Unless
Have you seen the trailer for the new X-Files?
No, I haven't. I don't know how I feel about it because I was just so about the first one and it was just such an important part
It's a
of my life.
mini-series. It's not a full series. It's just a mini-series.
Oh, okay, so it's like the British way.
Yeah, and it's a Netflix type thing. But Skinner's got a beard, and the Cancer Man's in it. We only see his hand and his voice when we see the cigarette going like that.
Oh, he's got to be, that's like 20 years ago, he's got to be pretty old, that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, well. But yeah, I'm excited about that, but that's a talk for another day. But yeah, so like, he's just the worst CIA agent. And okay, so this the most dangerous terrorist in all of the world. This sociopath from Eastern Europe.
Who
They don't
cares?
even lock him in a room. He's like in what looks like a pantry, like a room used as a storeroom, handcuffed to a chair.
And he's got a bunch of glass bottles and a thing behind him. And, when someone was designing this pantry, they never thought to themselves, submarines sometimes go from side to side. Because
They
the
pitch
second
and yaw.
the fucking thing pitches or yaws, the bottles flew off, and shatter.
And here's the thing I'm thinking,
That's
it's like...
stupid on so many levels.
Like, I'm sure that the military, I mean, and if you are military, and especially if you are Navy or have been on a sub, please correct us if we're wrong, you'd think that the military would have supplies and rations, for the submarine in packaging that you wouldn't have to, like, store around until you recycle it, like
That
glass.
would not shatter.
Like, you'd think it would be, like, for liquids, that really that really thick plastic that they used to make, we called them milk bags back when I was in school. They were a new thing that basically, instead of milk in a carton, it was milk in a square bag, and you punched it in a certain place with a straw, and you drank it out the bag. So, like, you'd think that it would be something like that, but then you could put a flattened thing into some kind of thing that would heat the plastic and make it into a wee little cube, and then you just dump out a carton of wee little cubes when you get back.
Yeah, something like that.
So if anyone knows, write the show. But yeah, and so, like, of course he does that, secret agency thing where he dislocates his thumb and gets out of the thing, and it just so then they're like, oh, but we find out, we're like, oh, okay, so they're on the sub with the terrorists, and they're gonna get attacked by the octopus, because this movie's called Octopus.
It's called
We
fucking
spend,
Octopus.
like 45 minutes pissing around with this terrorism.
It was
plot.
it was a shit sort of spy type thing.
Yeah. Oh, in the beginning, the thing is that they're back in the 60s, a Russian sub gets shot down by the U.S. and the waters outside Cuba, and barrels of it says something in Cyrillic, but we thought it said toxic waste in English, but was spelled with Cyrillic letters to make it look like it's Russian. But we freeze framed on it, but it's not. And we know the audience knows that that's
so many funny things. These Russians were like, oh no, the Americans are near us, and there's the Cuba blockade. Oh, we're gonna have to go through it. And then the guy's like, oh no, we can't go through it. We have to crash the submarine onto the bottom of the ocean because we
die. The guy's like, no, we can't. And then he gets shot.
Yeah, the second in command is like, Captain, I cannot do this. I cannot do this. And the captain hugs him and shoots him with a fucking gun in the chest, and then orders that
in a submarine. He doesn't know if the bullet is going to go through him and into the hole. I mean.
Yeah, and then you've got obviously the Americans hear the sound of the bullet and fire fucking missiles at the
because
submarine.
Again,
torpedoes.
as we know from the fine documentary film Periscope, if you fart in a submarine, the Russians will hear it.
But
Google it; it's true.
The guy. The guy who I assume was the captain ordered someone else to crash the submarine,
Yeah.
and then shot him when he
Oh,
wouldn't
and
do
there's
it.
this great montage of them all going,
Why didn't the captain
"Whoa."
just do it?
Well, I know there's this great montage of them like not really drowning, but water pouring on their faces. They're like clutching pictures of loved ones and flailing.
Yeah, they were
dramatically.
throwing water at these poor actors' faces while they were moving the camera forward and backwards into their faces, and then they were sort of moving back and forth, going like,
Oh, and there's like footage of quote unquote Washington D.C. at night, which is obviously filmed with a different camera.
Yeah,
that they purchased stock footage from somewhere
yeah, you
else.
thought it was maybe like a overflying of like Bulgaria or something. I was like, no, I'm pretty sure that's DC, but what they did was that they bought the footage from someone else.
Oh, and the scene where underwater the sub has broken apart and these barrels, roll down into the sea. Obviously, what it is, it's day for night shooting on a hill. And they slowed down the frame rate to make it look like it's drifting underwater.
I don't think it was different, but
there was a blue filter over it.
Yes, blue filter and not filmed underwater, and slowed down, fully agree. Day for night, not so sure.
Yeah, because I was like,
think
wait
it
a
was
second.
probably filmed in a set.
Wait a second, that's not how that kind of motion would work underwater. This was just footage that was slowed down.
It was probably a model set.
Yeah.
Because they did have some models.
That happened. Oh yeah, when the embassy explodes, we see the two main characters basically going, whoa!
Close-ups with fire somewhere in the background.
In front of a green screen with the fire and explosion behind them. There's a part where the terrorist is trying to get away. He crashes a taxi. A regular standard taxi. It didn't even look like it was one of those with the engine in the rear. And the thing explodes. Like the car catches on fire.
Maybe it was a Lada.
The thing explodes. You don't even get Mythbusters explosions like that. You got to explode that like they were thrown by the shockwave. And here's the thing.
Maybe it was a Dacia.
When the gas tank goes, it's a gasoline explosion, which means you get a fireball. A really hot fireball that persists for a few seconds. I've seen car fires. I've been stuck
Are you
in
suggesting
traffic.
that the great documentary, Mad Max the video game, might not be entirely accurate?
Yeah, but everything explodes in that. That's part of their canon. But no, I'm like, why would... Because this wasn't even the terrorist. The terrorist carjacks a taxi. So it's not like, oh, he filled it full of explosives. It was just like, that wouldn't happen.
I think his cock was full of explosives and he dislocated his cock and threw it into the taxi.
Probably. But yeah, so then we find out, after this is all pissing about, then we find out that all these Russian agents, Russia is like apparently so desperate to get this guy back.
Yeah, it could be Russians or it could be just an Eastern European terrorist group based in Russia. I don't know.
Russian accents.
It was confusing.
But so they have infiltrated a cruise ship. Like hundreds, like a cell of them have infiltrated a cruise ship that's leaving. It didn't say what country it's leaving. It's across the Atlantic because once they come into range of the thing, they're gonna hack the ship's mainframe and get in contact with the sub, and the terrorists will be out in the sub by then, and they'll pick him up and stuff. But they said they show this over a montage of these agents with huge, like, semi-automatic weapons, and I really want to know how they smuggle them aboard the cruise ship. But they say, oh, but they have orders to kill everyone, no witnesses. Motherfucker, do you know how many people are on a cruise ship, especially a AAA cruise ship?
And on top of this, you've got...
So basically, what they could have done was just wait till the cruise ship got into international waters, hijacked it, radioed back to the coast to whatever country is nearest and say, guess what? America is smuggling this political prisoner. They could just lie and say he's a political prisoner on a nuclear sub, and we want him back, and if we don't get him back, if they don't service and go to this port that we choose, we will just start killing everyone on board this fucking cruise ship.
Yeah.
But no...
On top of this, you've got these guys...
They had to hack the mainframe.
These Russian Eastern European sort of terrorist guys, they found out about the guy being grabbed, and they found out he was going to be on this submarine. And they found out he's on the submarine, it's already gone. Then they decide, okay, let's hijack this cruise ship, which is going to be going slower than a submarine, to catch up with this submarine so we can get there first. Mm-hmm. And the cruise ship is going to have stops along the way, which the submarine will not.
No, I think it was a direct shot, transatlantic kind of thing.
Still slower than a fucking nuclear sub.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's the point of a cruise. It's supposed to take you 2 weeks to get across the goddamn ocean so you can, tip people and drink drinks and...
There is no fucking...
Some of them have dessert buffets.
Apparently cruises are very nice. Teddy and the Avatar of These Inhuman went on
I've
one.
never felt compelled to take a cruise because apparently,
they're really expensive.
They're really expensive and they usually end up in mass instances of stomach virus. Or as they like to call it over here, a vomiting virus. Doesn't that sound lovely? That's what I heard. Well, don't let a winter vomiting virus catch you short. I was like, ugh. We just say a stomach bug. Or like the stomach flu. Or like a 24-hour flu. That's code, by the way. If someone says 24-hour flu, it means it's coming out both ends. They're just being polite.
in the Zsa Zsa Turner review, one of the lines that I wrote, but Linkara expertly delivered, was talking about how the film had developed a 2.4 minute Bollywood bug.
Yeah.
Because the song lasted about 2.4 minutes, and it's a joke on 24 Hour.
But anyway, so we're running out of time, so we have to talk about Doctor Who still. But
yeah,
like that. I mean, around that time was when our takeaway came, and like I had thought that the salad would be on the side, so I had to like perform strategic salad or lettuce extraction from one part of my sandwich to the other.
I'm sure that has something to do with Octopus.
Yeah, but that's what time when I kind of lost the plot, and when I paid attention again, like most of the crew was dead. Oh yeah, by the way. The terrorists got loose while the Octopus was attacking the submarine. The engineer, they're on the bottom of the sea, probably gonna die. The engineer goes bug fuck and takes his own life by taking his service piece and first of all, I don't know why an engineer had a service piece. I don't think they arm the Navy, especially in submarines. But then I'm thinking to myself, because he was bugging out before, like, oh, let's lights out, man, basically kind of thing, like, you know, we're gonna die. I'm like, if you have issues about if your greatest fear is dying at the bottom of the ocean, psychologically you might not be best for underwater service.
Yeah.
Maybe you should be assigned to like an aircraft carrier or something like that.
Let's put it this way. Appearing on the internet wearing silly makeup and yelling about Christian movies and saying fuck a lot is not exactly my worst nightmare.
Yeah. But yeah, so and it was just so bad, and then eventually they got the thing back up. They're like, you know, okay, we got the nuclear reactors not critical. We got the sub back up. Oh, it's a cruise ship. We're saved. And they're like, oh, Captain, thank God, we're from the U.S. Army. And then that's when the Russian terrorists take over the thing. And
the Octopus is attacking both things.
And then
this is what's gone on way too long.
The black guy, did he die or did he live?
Yes, he died.
Okay.
He died. I think he died actually in the water. And you were all like, then we went into this big debate about whether you had to know how to swim to be in the American Navy.
Oh yeah, because apparently you don't have to swim to be in the Navy.
Yeah, Omega was.
Sworn that you did.
Yeah, and we haven't actually Googled this, but I'm pretty sure you don't.
So if you know,
it's not a hard and fast rule that you need to, but it's suggested that you should, but you don't actually need to.
Yeah, fun fact: I spent 2 months of my life in 2009 trying to join the American Navy or the U.S. Navy, and the reason for that was I lived with these two people who were horrible down in D.C., and they didn't want to renew the lease, but because I was only working at the bookshop and didn't have like a better paying job, pretty much what they were doing is sentencing me, you know, right after the credit crash, you know, this is still in the Great Recession, you know, to basically have to find my own apartment in a very expensive area or become homeless. And they realized that would kind of make them assholes in the eyes of everyone. But they found this obscure rule in our apartment complex's bylaws that if your roommate joins the service, you get a free move, meaning you could upgrade or downgrade, you know, your apartment, stuff like that. So one of the people that we knew had been in the Navy and started giving me the hard sell, like, you should join the Navy. And I was like, but I'm a lesbian. I'm gay. Yeah, but most of the girls that I knew in the Navy were gay. Yeah, but I'm really overweight. No, you don't have to be in shape now. All you have to do is be able to fit through a porthole in the Navy. Yeah, but I Googled it, and you have to do the gas mask test. Yeah, but you could, if you're asthmatic, you can, like, I'm asthmatic. I'm not asthmatic anymore. I have bad vision. I've had eye surgery. Yeah, but you can work a desk job in the Navy. And you can get all these great technical certs. So literally for 2 months, I tried to join the U.S. Navy, and I finally called a recruiter, and thank God I got this recruiter, because he was like, okay, well, what's your height and weight? Well, I'll level with you. You're going to need to lose between 40 and 60 pounds. And I was like, okay, that's fine. I can do that. And I was like, well, that might take a long time. I don't know. My roommates really want me to join the service. And he's like, oh, do you want to join the Navy? I'm like, well, I like ships. I always have liked sailing and stuff like that. And I guess it'd be nice to serve the country and stuff. He's like, okay, great. So here's what I want you to do, okay? So I want you to go get into shape. You can find a lot of great resources online. And call me back. This is my name. This is my extension. And then we'll bring you in for an interview. And if you really still want to join the service, we can talk about that. I was like, okay, great. And then a friend of mine basically had a heart-to-heart intervention with me. Said, look, you're being played. These people are playing you, and I can't stand by and watch this happen anymore. I was like, but I'll get a lot of great technical certs out of it. She's like, yeah, because she worked for the Department of Homeland Security, had like 15 squillion certifications in like Network Plus and Security Plus and all this. She's like, I will direct you to cheap online classes that you can take the test, get the cert. Don't end up in the military for 4 years just because these people want a free move. And so it ended up fine. But that's my story.
A lot of people that Omega knew beforehand were assholes.
No, I
I hope
just
this is not still
knew
the
pockets
case.
of assholes. But yeah, so eventually I think they blew the octopus up.
Yeah, the terrorist
Yeah,
exploded and the octopus exploded.
they took the terrorist bomb, infected the octopus, but not before the octopus
The octopus
killed the terrorist.
I'm pretty sure the octopus raped the terrorist by using his arms up his ass and then out his chest.
No, it didn't go up his ass. It went into his stomach.
That's still a type of rape.
Yeah, stomach rape. But yeah,
But
like
it's
even when
not
like
even shot.
the
How did it go through?
The terrorist like ha ha ha! I am escaping up the helicopter. He's the stupid crap CIA agent. Like the girl saying shoot shoot, he wouldn't shoot.
Yeah, so and the octopus, these octopus arms, this arm is fucking huge. It's
Miles.
like it's all the other ones are like larger than a fucking car, and somehow he managed to find the one arm which is small enough to pierce through someone's chest, but might just to fucking hit him. It makes no fucking sense.
And when the tentacle drags the helicopter down, the helicopter rotors like it breaks apart and explodes on contact with the water. As if it were smashing into something else, as if the footage that they had was of a helicopter being smashed into the ground, and then they just digitally fucked with that.
They should have just had the giant tentacle grab the helicopter and crush it or something. But anyway.
But that was Octopus. So, honey, what did we watch this week?
As in what we watched about half an hour ago?
Yep.
Doctor Who!
It was
Doctor Who! Hey! Doctor Who! Doctor Who! Hey!
Are you done?
TARDIS.
Alright, so she's also doing this little robot dance. It's so cute.
It's the KLFs.
I know.
Doctoring the TARDIS.
I know. Nash has played it. I have it on a playlist on my MP3 player. But yeah. So anyway, we watched the episode Under the Lake, and I really enjoyed it. So, spoilers, but you knew that. You just go with it.
This one, it reminded me of Mummy and the Orient Express in that it was good, and it probably would have been better as a classic Who story. Although, less so than Mummy. Mummy is a very, very, very good episode in New Who. It would have been a fucking excellent one in Classic Who. This one would have been just about as good in New Who, in Classic Who. Although I suspect the next part will be the sort of one that will not work so well in Classic.
So the thing is that I actually read an article, an interview in Doctor Who magazine about this episode, and they did talk to the guy that wrote the script. And so there was one point where they get in the TARDIS lands and they're in an underwater base. And he was like, oh, he must be underwater. And I'm like, how did he... Oh, yeah, I guess he could sense the pressure difference. And you were like, no, it's that blue light flowing through the windows. It would be completely unrealistic to have in a thing. Yeah. And I was like, actually, they built the set like that on purpose because the people working on it didn't want it
They have blue watery lights in this underwater thing.
Yeah, they were actually like, there's a thing, the light bulb... There's a filter in front of it to make it look like it's thrown through the water because they didn't want this to be just another thing in a space station. They wanted to always keep in mind the fact that you're underwater. And I thought that was cool. Impractical, but cool.
Yeah, it took me out. It was an attempt to make it more immersive, but it took me right out of it because there's no practical reason in the story for that to be there.
But anyway, you can find everything in it, pick them out.
Well, there's just certain things which New Who likes to do, which take me out of the story. There's one bit in this where the Doctor is just being really indignant about the ridiculousness of the situation, and he's repeating what's going on.
Oh yeah, you were bitching about that before.
Yeah, I was bitching about it in the trailer last week, but it happens in the actual episode, and
I don't care. He's crazy and cracked out, and I like this Doctor.
It's not this. People don't do that. All it does is underline how ridiculous the situation is, and it turns it into a joke. It diffuses the tension.
But think about that speech that what's his face, bow and arrow guy, Darklink.
Hawkeye.
Yeah.
That's another example of it.
But Hawkeye gives, and he's like, listen, I woke up this morning, and now I'm on a town that's flying in the air, and I gotta kill all these guys. And you know what? I could either just be like, this is too fucked up. I quit, or I can go out there and be a hero.
But he also said, none of this makes any sense. I got a bow and arrow. That's another example of the same trope, though. It's not a modern as in it was invented modernly. However, it's become very prevalent, and all it does is create a disconnect. It makes the show meta in a really noticeable way.
Well, I think that you're overreacting.
It just takes me out of it. It's a bit like winking at the camera.
I think that you're not. I don't know.
It just shows they're not 100% taking it seriously.
But the Doctor never takes anything seriously.
Depends on the Doctor and depends on the situation.
Oh, true enough. Oh, also the woman who's in charge, because the guy who's the captain was killed, she is deaf and has a sign language interpreter. And I read in the article that the actress is also deaf, because they didn't want to have someone being played by someone with alternate abilities being played by someone without those abilities.
Yeah, and that's very, very good.
Yeah.
It's people in minorities tend to have a harder time getting jobs because the parts aren't usually written with those people in mind, and then the few times they're written, quite often they're given to people who have better CVs, better sort of IMDb lists, because who don't have who aren't in those minorities.
Yeah, like Syl from from Classic who he was that little wormy alien who he was like kind of like a Ferengi almost.
Pre-Ferengi,
yeah.
Ferengi.
He was played by an actor with disabilities.
Yeah, Nabil Shaban.
Yeah.
He's great.
Who also, I heard an interview with him because he also voices Syl in the audio dramas that involve him in the Sixth Doctor. And one of the Big Finish discs that you bought me has a interview with him. Well, he does a lot of stage work actually.
Yeah,
like a lot of plays and stuff in theater.
He's a disability rights activist. He's really cool. On YouTube, someone has uploaded a documentary he did.
Oh, I watched
about
that.
Ivar the Boneless.
The one who had to be carried out on his shield.
Yeah, he has this theory that he might have had the same condition as him.
That'd be pretty cool. He'd be like, I'm a Viking, actually.
But about this sort of thing about minority actors, in episode 9, I believe it is, Bethany Black's turning up, and she's one of the UK. This is only like her second dramatic role, but she's one of the sort of openly trans actors, and I'm curious to see who she'll be playing, which is it's a good sign. You should do this because people who are in minorities, they don't get much of a chance to act because the parts aren't written for them, and then whenever there are the one or two that appear, they get given to more actors with established track records.
Yeah, like did you know the
girl that plays catch-22.
The girl that played the blind girl in Lionel Richie's music video Hello, she was not blind. I knew this from the excellent documentary series Pop-Up Video. Pop-Up Video. Okay, I'm gonna do a YouTube thing. Okay, thumbs up this video of Pop-Up Video. Should have continued on into the 2000s. Actually, don't do that because you'll thumbs down if you don't think it did. Never mind, but Pop-Up Video was awesome. I'm just saying. If you're not American, you've never heard of it, Google it. It's awesome.
Yes, but I just wanted to mention. I think I know what you're talking about. But
I'll show you
in as recently as the late 70s, Classic Who would employ white actors in yellowface in the big parts of playing Asian parts in films, in shows. The Talons of Wang Chang was an example. However, I'm pretty sure it wasn't because of racism. It was racist. It wasn't because they were like we hate Asian people. It was because there wasn't that many Chinese or Asian actors in the UK who they felt would be able to do it. And this is the exact same reason as why people
I never thought of that.
Why Eddie Redmayne is played what do you call her, Lily Alb. It's this exact same sort of thing.
But wait a minute. But could they not go to Hong Kong and get an actor from Hong Kong who's
fly in some actors?
Oh, that's true. That'd be expensive.
I can name you in the UK working Asian actors from the 60s and 70s. I can think of one, Burt Kwok, and he turned up in almost everything that involved, even tangentially involved China.
Oh.
So,
poor guy. Was he even Chinese?
Yeah, Burt Kwok was. Yeah.
Sometimes you'll see a Japanese person, and they're playing like a Chinese role, and then you're like, wait a minute, that's so and so Ishiguro. That's a Japanese last name.
Well, but I'm just saying that it is nice that basically people realized that it was fucked up to do that with racial minorities, and I'm glad that there are people making strides to try and do this with other minorities.
Yeah, that's because
Star Trek Next Generation did the same thing with a deaf actor. Do you remember the episode where you had the deaf ambassador with the 3 people who talked for him?
Oh, right.
The ambassador, he was deaf in real life.
I didn't know that. Well, it's it was a stupid reality show, but it was on E! Network occasionally when I used to watch it a lot. It was called Pit Boss, and it was about this, he was a little person who he came from a really rough background, and he got involved in a gang, and he ended up in jail for many years, and then he came out and he's like, I'm gonna go straight. So he opened a talent agency finding work for little people actors.
That's cool.
But then on the side he ran a pit bull rescue, and a lot of his employees kind of the two of the main employees got pretty pissed off at him because they're like, we're serious actors, but you keep finding us work as leprechauns and stuff like that. And he's like, look, I don't know what to tell you. These are the jobs that I get in. But then the one of the guys, the Asian one. Remember when we went to see
Mirror,
Mirror
Mirror?
Mirror? I was like, oh, it's the guy from Pit Boss. Oh, I'm so glad he got like a good role. But then I realized he got a role as a dwarf.
But
Oh,
the fact that little people actors, proper roles for them are very, very far apart.
Yeah, there's a really great documentary, and I forget what it's called, but if you Google it, you can probably find it, about how a lot of little people who were recruited to play Munchkins in the movie The Wizard of Oz, this was the first time they had ever, like, met other people like them. And, like, this was, like, such a, like, a changing moment for them. And I think up until the late 80s, I don't know if there's any of the original Munchkins left, but up until the late 80s, they would still get together once a year.
Yeah.
And I think that's really, like, really awesome, you know?
It's only very recently that little people actors are taken a little bit seriously. Like Peter Dinklage has
yeah,
basically broken through.
Because that scientist in X-Men.
In Days of Future Past, Bolivar Trask. In the comics, he's not a little person. In X-Men 3, he was played by Mac from Predator, so he was a 6'2" black guy. But in that one, yeah, he was played by Peter Dinklage because Peter Dinklage was the best guy for it, and that is really, really good. I mean, my favorite little person actor, David Rappaport, who played Randall in Time Bandits, he committed suicide partly because of depression brought on that he wasn't taken seriously as an actor.
That's bad. So if any of you know any alternate ability actors, you should be like, you're a good friend. I'll like you on Facebook.
Yeah, and what do you call it? There's a movie called Tiptoes by the director of Confessions of a Trick Baby. Most reviews are absolutely for it are terrible, and I saw it and then I thought it was okay, but the main character, it's about a relationship between this guy is like in a relationship with this woman, and he wants.
It'll be alright though.
Oh, it'll be fine. But she's having a relationship with this guy.
Mm-hmm.
And he wants her to meet the rest of his family because it turns out that he's got a brother who's a little person.
Uh-huh.
And he's all worried that, the gene, I'm not a little person, but, one of our kids might be a little person.
I'm pretty sure it's recessive.
Well, that was the point of the film.
Okay.
But then the woman, she falls in love with his brother, who's a little person, and he played by Gary Oldman on his knees. Peter Dinklage is in the film as a very small part, but it's like, you've got Peter Dinklage there, and you cast Gary Oldman. It's the same sort of thing. It's like,
wow.
You can't, when you don't give people in minorities parts, they don't develop the CV, they don't develop the track list of being and stuff, so therefore you give it to people who aren't in that group, and it's really horrible. But
well, I mean, it's the same in the business world, too, because when I worked at the call center, we had a high rate of attrition because it was a call center. And so the boss of the call staff anyway, Jay Johnson, he was like, you know what? I'm gonna go to the office for the vocation for the disabled, and the head of the facility was he was a white South African who was a really horrible person. He was kind of a racist too. He was like, why would you do that? And Jay's like, well, because the disabled folks really want to work, but nobody will hire them. So you get a really good employee who will always show up and always do their best because they feel like look how awesome I am. Please pay attention to me. And so all of the people that we got sent from the office for the vocational office rose to team leaders within like a few months. Like we had two sisters, they were both little people, and the one girl, she was so small she had to use a walker to get around, But they were both really sweet, these two sisters were, and they had a special van. The one drove the van. It was a really great van. But but like all the people that we got were just so great and so awesome, and these two sisters had multiple business degrees, but nobody would take them seriously.
And
this went away from Doctor Who and became a total rant about.
But bring it back to acting. American Horror Show, Freak Show. They cast a bunch of they cast some people who have physical disabilities. There was this English guy who I can't remember his name, but he used to do a one-man show about CeeLo, CeeLo the Penguin Boy, something like that. He's got the condition, I cannot remember the name. It means his arms are about half the length of a
the thalidomide thing.
Yes, yeah. And he did like one-man shows about this whole thing. But he turned up on it. Amazon Eve turned up. There was this Indian actress who is she's about 1.5 feet tall. She was in it, and it was like, good, I've seen some of these actors in other things. Good, they're getting proper roles. Thank you.
But anyway, that aside.
We're being SJWs. This is awesome.
No, it's not being SJWs because we're not being obnoxious about it. We're saying that
Honey,
it's really...
no one is called an SJW simply because they're being obnoxious.
Okay,
it's other stuff that gets
this
people
is a
called an
conversation
SJW.
we had in bed last night, but I will paraphrase it because we should get back to Doctor Who. When I think of the phrase SJW, I think of the person who just wants to be obnoxious and horrible, doesn't really care.
What if
just
they're being obnoxious about something that's nothing to do with social justice?
Well, then they're just being an obnoxious person.
Yeah, so that's just it. Just
but because that's how I think about it. The person that doesn't really care, but they want a chance to bust other people's balls. But anyway, so I really liked this episode, and
it was good.
I was kind of like, because I play, even though my PS4 is hooked up through the TP link, for some reason iPlayer kept skipping, and it would like freeze. And I was like, no, we have to know what's gonna happen.
Yeah, and this was good. Although the doctor
they committed
is
the
totally
sin.
going to die.
Yep.
As a trope, needs to fucking die.
They committed the Stephen Moffat sin. They're like, oh, I'm already a dead... In the previous, like, I'm already a dead man walking...
The only time this was done in Classic Who, it was Revelation of the Daleks, and just on a funerary planet, they happened to come across the Doctor's grave.
Right, it was actually a trick from the Master. But, like...
Well, I mean, Davros.
Oh, yeah. No, but I thought the Master was involved.
No.
Okay, well,
he was not in that story.
But, like, so basically, the Sixth Doctor's like, Perry, look, it's my grave. Oh, dramatic.
Yeah.
And then he was being all drastic about it. She's like, oh no, Doctor, what does that mean? He goes, well, Perry, it means at some point I will die, and I will be buried here in the future. This is my grave. It's a bit troubling that it's my current incarnation, but what are you going to do?
Yeah, that was his only issue, was it's designed to look like the Sixth Doctor, indicating he was not going to have a seventh and on incarnations. That was the troubling thing.
Yeah.
The fact that he had died at some point and he found his grave, that didn't worry him.
He just wanted to be dramatic about it, because that's what the Sixth Doctor does. Yeah. But then, like, you know, a few scenes later, they're like... Perry's like, how are we going to get over the wall, Doctor? Oh, wait, we'll just hop it because, please, Perry, I'm a 900-year-old Time Lord. I can't be hopping over walls like a boy.
950.
Oh, so...
No, sorry, 6 was 900.
Yeah.
It was 7, it was 950.
Yeah. But yeah, so the whole, like, it reminds me of, like, that thing during the Golden Age or Silver Age of comics where they were like, in this issue, Superman will die or turn evil. And, like, every time, this character will die or turn evil. And it's always...
But with
stupid.
At least in the trailer we saw Capaldi's Doctor doesn't really give a shit, and he's like, yeah, okay, gonna die, don't care.
Well, you called it in the episode. Oh, we didn't summarize the episode, but it's basically they find a spaceship in an underwater base that used to be a military facility at the bottom of a lake. The lake got flooded, and they found petroleum under there. So a petroleum company is paying to have a base down there to drill the oil, and they find a spaceship.
The oil might be aliens or something.
That'd be pretty cool.
But
it's Daleks. It's Dalek ooze.
The captain and this thing, I recognized him. I was like, I recognize that guy. I don't know his name, but he's in a lot of things. I like him. And then suddenly he's dead, and I'm like, oh.
So you turn into ghosts, and they basically have the Doctor said they had their souls hijacked to broadcast the coordinates of where this crash spaceship is, and for what reasons we'll find out in the next episode. But it features, he's like, I'm gonna go back in time to before this town was flooded. I'm like, abandoned towns. I love it. This one.
Yeah, and the Doctor's a ghost, and it's
no, but you called it. You said
you
said I bet he will find a way for the ghost to kill him, so he can come back as one of these quote unquote ghosts, just because he's the Doctor, and that's the kind of shit he'd pull. And I'm like, yeah, you're totally right. And then what happened?
Yeah, because this gives him an out for having everyone survive.
Yeah.
Because this is a Moffat-y type thing. It's like he likes having everyone survive. Plus, the guy. This wasn't written by Moffat, but it's his era, so he seems dedicated to driving into the fucking grave the chance of drama from the Doctor dying.
Yeah, because now it's not special anymore.
Yeah.
Like, how many... Oh, the Doctor's gonna die. The Doctor's been quote-unquote... But the Doctor was always gonna die. Like the
Although this might be a recurring thing for this season because he's got his confession disc thing. That's apparently going to be like a season-long thing.
Yeah, but see, the thing is that, like, we know... It's suspension of disbelief. We know out of character that Jenna Coleman is leaving the show.
Yep.
So we know that something will happen to Clara by the end of the Christmas episode. Either she will go off on her own time, she will die.
I'm hoping she dies.
Yeah. Something like that will happen, and we'll get a new companion.
And that's not because I hate Clara. She's not... I don't hate her as much as Rose. She's not exactly very high up in my list of companions, but I want New Who to have the fucking guts to kill a companion.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's how... Because Classic Who did it. For fuck's sake, Hartnell's era killed 2 companions in 1 episode. sorry, 1 story.
Adric had to be killed several times over several different media.
Yeah, depending on what you consider canon, there is the possibility that Adric has died several times.
Yeah. And they just keep bringing him back and killing him again, you little
Yeah.
fucktard.
But Classic Who, what do you call her? Louise Jameson, who played Leela, she to this day is annoyed that the 70s era one, Graham Williams, who was producing at the time, didn't have the guts to kill Leela.
Yeah.
But Classic Who killed 3 companions. New Who, kill a fucking companion. This is your 9th season, which means that you're over a third of the way of the length of Classic Who.
Oh, yeah.
You should have killed one by now.
Yeah, but also, going back to the thing, it's like, out of character, we know that, like, we
Perry might be dead, depending on your canon as well.
Yeah, that's true. But, like, we knew, okay, Matt Smith is leaving the series. We know, now it's been announced who the new Doctor is. So we know that by the end of the Christmas episode, he will regenerate. So, like, we know that kind of stuff out of character. But then, like, oh, well, the Doctor's definitely going to die. Like, but we know that Peter Capaldi says he wants to be on the show a long time. And then now there's this new thing with the spin-off, which I'm kind of about. I'm probably not going to watch it.
I think it's probably going to be good. I'm just irritated that they were all like, we've got massive news coming about Doctor Who. It's huge. It's the most amazing thing ever. It's like, it's a spin-off about teenagers, about Doctor Who. The idea that you need a spin-off of Doctor Who for fucking teenagers.
And it's not set in time and space. It's set in
That's like having
London.
a spin-off of That Guy with the Glasses dedicated to people yelling about media on fucking videos on the internet. That's the core of it.
That was Refutopia.
No, but an actual one on Tig with Tig.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, good on Patrick Ness. I mean, he is a very good author, and so I'm not disparaging his work, but I'm probably not going to watch it. But then didn't you say in the Daily Mirror they were talking about, oh, there's not going to be a 2016 season, which is a rumor that I heard on the Gallifrey subreddit.
There's been rumors, but there's always been rumors.
Yeah.
The viewing figures are down this year, but let's see.
But the Rugby World Cup is going on.
Yes,
and both England and Ireland are still in.
England, I believe, were knocked out around the same time as the episode was playing, so we're going to have to see if they pick up next week.
I know Ireland's still in it. At least that's what my coworkers are telling me.
So, I think it's got something to do with the Rugby World Cup. Rugby World Cup probably wouldn't eat up 1.5 million, but it'll eat up a decent amount, and apparently a huge amount of people watch it on iPlayer.
Yeah. So that was what I mean. Next week looks good. We may change our opinions on that.
They might do another series of specials. Maybe. I hope they don't. But the same article said that the BBC is eyeing the guy who played Rob Stark to play the 13th Doctor.
But, like, books are coming out at, like, literally the speed of light. I mean, there's, like, several different new series now.
Why would you announce a spin-off of Doctor Who if you're not intending to keep Doctor Who running? Because that kind of means that you've just created an independent show that's disconnected. It doesn't make sense.
There's one book that I kind of want to get, and we even have it at the shop, too, because there's... it's called A Book of Time Lord Fairy Tales, and it's like Grimm's Fairy Tales, but rewritten in like a Time Lord and alien context, like The Piper, which is about the space station of Hamlin, and the Cybermen knew that they couldn't get to it, so of course, they're probably going to use a Cybermat to get the...
As long as they haven't written this as though they're actual Time Lord fairy tales.
I don't know.
Because they didn't know what the Cybermen were.
I don't know. But yeah. But so that's what we have to say about that. Now, I just realized that we have a few minutes, because I've been letting episodes go to 50 minutes since we're really not controlled by what Blip wants anymore. And when we were in England, we found, or on our way to England, we have Walker's Crisps, which are Lay's everywhere else in the world, and they're having a flavor competition, and we bought some lamb and mint flavor, which sounds absolutely horrible and regrettable, to do a Let's Try with Sophie Liv and Film Brain. Now, Film Brain was a little bit green at the gills.
He was really sick during Allcon.
He was ill, so we didn't want to force crisps, especially disgusting crisps on him. Even though Sophie Liv forced salted licorice on us, which you made the best face in the world.
I hate licorice, and salted licorice was just like Jesus Christ. However, the crackling that you had, that was really good.
So we're gonna have a live on-air tasting of this, so I can at least throw these away because they're taking up space. So these are Walker's from the Bring Me Back
Explain for people who are not from America why the idea of mint savory is so distressing to you.
Because mint really is a flavor that we associate with sweetness, with toothpaste, with mouthwash, with mints that you eat for, breath mints, with chewing gum.
While over here...
With mint chocolate.
You got mint jelly and mint sauce and stuff, which you can have with meat. I don't eat it with meat, but
like,
you can.
You can have a mint in a mojito, but that's a little bit sweet. I mean, sometimes, like, a cold pasta salad might have some chopped mint, but I think it's nasty and noxious and vomitous is what I have to say about
If
that.
I'm having anything with meat, a type of ridiculous type of thing that doesn't make any sense, I have applesauce.
It smells like socks. I'll take one and you take one. I mean, lamb I'm okay with, but it smells unholy. Alright, what do you think? This is an audio format, so you have to say something.
It just tastes like people who are not from the UK. The UK has a massive, crazy flavors for crisps, and this just tastes like one of the roast beef or roast chicken or smoky bacon. They were one of their meaty type ones because they all taste pretty similar. Because roast chicken and roast beef. These are actual flavors that we have of crisp. And I'm not tasting any mint.
No. Oh, yeah, you get it in like the aftertaste a wee bit.
I'm not tasting any mint.
I mean, it's more perceptible or receptive to it. And it tastes like it's been seasoned with bouillon cubes.
Yeah, I can test that. Yeah.
You can have the rest of them.
No, I can't. I don't like meat flavored crisps.
Well then, see if any of the guys want them.
They're all downstairs.
Oh well. Every Sunday night, my roommate has D&D, and all the guys hang out with us. All right, so that's been us.
Yeah,
It's 50 minutes. There's your live. Let's try. Like and subscribe.
We are gonna watch a film now.
We are. And I'm gonna drink.
And tomorrow, we have to film something for the Merlin the Return review, where I'm gonna get soaked with water.
And I'm gonna go to statistics class.
Well, I get soaked after she goes class.
I'm gonna do work and go to uni, and then I'm gonna get soaked with a hose in the Irish autumn.
Only a little bit.
Well, so that's been us. That's been episode 95 of Lesbian Talk, honey. I have been the Omega, and who do you want to have me in this week?
A ghost.
Probably.